Today is a very special episode. We're going to learn that a zombie group of mergers killed my mother. And that is why. And that is my origin story. Please have some sympathy for me.
I don't know if you guys know this, but my whole family was killed by a wild flock of testosterone.
My family was killed by a lighter. I don't know why, but that's why I have to smoke. I must deplete every lighter. It is my goal to destroy every lighter one
Just
by
a
one.
super kind sativa just shoved my parents over the cliff, and now I have to smoke every week.
A dank leaf of weed killed my mom, and I must take revenge by burning them all.
Not just the weed men, but the weed women and the weed children as well.
I slaughtered them. I smoked it like cannabis. So anyway, so very recently, a clip of the new Cruella movie is making the rounds on social media, and it is Cruella's origin story, which this character did not need. This character didn't need a sympathetic origin story. Like, I get it that it worked. It works with Maleficent. Because, like, you already had, you know, an unreliable narrator kind of like vibe, and here's the other side of the story, not the history is written by the victor's story, right? I'm okay with that. Like, it's kind of like a like as close that Disney will ever get to like producing their own rape revenge film. Like, it's pretty much there when you have that rape allegory, like an imagery kind of in there. But Cruella DeVille, Cruel Devil, didn't need I mean to the Dalmatians because the Dalmatians killed my mother. Like, you didn't need that. And also, don't worry, she's not mean to all dogs. She has a couple of her own. Just, guys, not an animal abuser. Guys, okay? Not
just hates Dalmatians specifically.
But the Dalmatians specifically, I'm at a loss. Like, what did you guys feel seeing this clip?
I mean, I died laughing. Like, that's the most ridiculous thing we're seeing. I'm right there with you. I'm like, yeah, okay, they tried this once before. They kind of accidentally struck gold with, you know, Maleficent, but that's Angelina Jolie just like giving that character 100%, despite it not being anything overly substance to try and put in there. Like, it just kind of worked because of circumstances. It's not that you can just take any villain and just explain them and it'll be fine. Like, I don't want to see Gaston eating a small portion of eggs. I don't need that. You know, we don't need to see where people came from. We are fine with where they are at. Like, there are some interesting villains still left in the Disney world where you could have done. I mean, the fact that Cruella DeVille is getting a standalone movie before Ursula is homophobic. Just putting that out there.
What?
I don't know, man. Like, it's so dumb. I just can't think of. Like, I just don't understand. Oh, you know, my mom died because a Dalmatian pushed her off the cliff. Like,
do you think they're serious?
Yes.
I mean,
Like you think they earnestly believe like, yep, that's the answer. That's how we make this movie. A Dalmatian just viciously throws her mom off the cliff.
Well, because if someone were to tell me like, hey, make up a reason for why Cruella Deville's a bitch, that's not the route that I would have gone, but I could see it being pitched at the meeting.
Yeah, but nobody never told that person. That's kind of dumb.
Like I see that at the pitch.
I don't see anything less than rated R version of a pitch in which you could do a Cruella origin story. It'd be interesting. Like, because that's the Disney-fied version of a horrible thing that could make her associate awful stuff with spots.
Like PTSD, it's kind of a weird.
Yeah, like there's all sorts of really awful stories you could tell that would never pass muster with Disney, and instead they're like, drama's fine. We can roll with those. It's not good.
It makes me question the writer's room, where you already have a live action 101 Dalmatians with Glenn Close and a sequel. They did well enough. Like you don't need to make that character sympathetic, specifically that character, because the point is that this is still a character who wants to take these dogs, which people, at least in Western culture for the most part, don't really do bad things to, and this person wants to take these dogs and skin them for coats. Like that's it.
Yeah, like hurting dogs, hurting any kind of animal is coded as being evil in movies. That's like an easy way to show how aligned somebody is as far as their I don't know, karma level.
There's an
animal, you're good. If you hurt an animal, you're bad.
Yeah, there's a trope called kick the dog.
Yeah, and save the cat, the inverse.
Mm-hmm. Save the cat.
And those are really well established, and you can use them really effectively. And I mean, what else are you supposed to do with this? Like, the entire character is based off of the trope of hurting an animal to show they're bad. That's the whole concept. So where do you go with that?
Where do you go
like,
from there?
The only thing they came up with was, let's just make the Dalmatians bad.
No, the Dalmatians are evil. I got it.
I saw one meme that was the Mad Men meme where he's got the easel up and he's trying to explain like the board like a bad idea.
Uh-huh.
It's just Dalmatians killed her mom. And you're like, yeah, okay. That's the kind of shit idea you'd have to try and like really sell in a meeting.
You'd have to convince me that there wasn't a better way to do it, because like you already have this weird depiction in the cartoon, right, where apparently that other person went to school with Cruella, and Cruella looks like 50 years older. Like you already have this person is evil, ages badly, and is crazy.
Right, that was the point. Like the hatred and all the chain smoking aged her.
Like the voice was chosen to be raspy. I've been chain smoking my entire life from the moment I wake up to when I go to bed. Like that's that voice. That's what that voice is. And then you're like, okay, guys, but Dalmatians actually killed her mom, so like maybe she has a point. Like, really, is that the relatable point? I'm so confused. At what point am I supposed to be rooting for this character? Or am I not? Like, I can't tell. Like, I don't know. That clip just made it just so confusing as an origin. And I hope that everyone gets to see it. Oh, it's such a good clip. Just that clip. Fuck the movie. Who cares?
The movie will not be good.
It's the get these motherfucking stank off this motherfucking plane moment for Cruella. Like, you watch it for that moment, and it's gonna come at the beginning of the movie. Like, perfect. Like, amazing. Oh, yeah, it's so stupid. But something else that came out recently, something we all actually did get to watch, is Army of the Dead. And Army of the Dead is a movie.
It is indeed
is
a
true.
movie.
I agree. It is a film.
And there were some choices made.
I agree with that too. Choices were made, clearly.
I gotta know what y'all's thoughts on the movie actually were, though. Thought?
Bob, do you want to go first?
I'll say this: I was entertained, but I don't know how much can I just talk about it. Just
Well, go on. No, go. If you want to go.
I think like maybe everybody in this movie is stupid.
Okay.
I don't know how else to say it. Like everybody, what's the name of this girl? Hold on, I have notes. Kate.
Kate, there you go.
Yeah, she got everybody killed, or at least everybody who was remaining killed.
Everybody who wasn't already killed at that point.
I don't know.
So, are you saying this is one of Zack Snyder's most sexist movies of all time? Got it. I see. What a very controversial statement to make there, Fod.
Kate is the daughter. Oh, it's the daughter.
Martin, so what do you think? Were you sitting on not just this movie, I guess, but like an overall within the Zack Snyder canon? Were you sitting in the oeuvre of Zack Snyder? Where do you find it? Where do you find it sits?
It is no Dawn of the Dead. And that's kind of saying, I don't think Dawn of the Dead is particularly great, but I do think it's a better film as a big picture than this was. As far as it was enjoyable, I had fun watching it. I was very high, so that may have helped. But I thought the first act was really good. And I thought there were pieces from the rest of it that was good, but it just kind of fell apart the longer things went on. The thing that I always seem to notice with Zack Snyder movies is that there are things in there that I find way more interesting that we don't ever see. There are these illusions, there's this, framework that's kind of being set up throughout the film, and you're like, okay, well, we're gonna see this come up later. And it doesn't. It doesn't. And it's baffling. The easiest version or the easiest example I can give is the zombies at the very beginning when they first get into the zombie quarantine zone. They talk about how when it rains, they come back to life. And you're like, that's cool. Like that's some shit I've only ever seen like in World War Z, the novel, considering like environmental factors and how these things would last over the course of years. That's super cool. Never saw it. Just never saw it. It was not there.
I'm gonna admit I missed that part.
Yeah,
man,
I think I remember something about that because there was just like a line of skeletons.
Yeah, as soon as they get in there, you see all these zombie bodies that are super dried out, and they're like, and the coyote lady is like, oh yeah, but when it rains, they come right back up, and you're like, all right, so we're gonna see a monsoon before this thing is over. No.
Because it's one of those things where like it's the desert, so when it rains, it fucking pours. So it would be one of those things that would be an interesting concept. But that's fucking Snyder in a nutshell, all set up and no payoff.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I liked, things that could have come from it, but none of them did. So it kind of fell flat. In other ways too, it's the typical Snyder stuff where we see stuff included from the real world, but with no message. It's just there.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to talk about specifically because I like the movie just fine, but like I like that movie on the surface, and there's nothing beyond it,
nothing deeper
for me to give a shit about the movie. On because Zack Snyder thinks he's saying something, but doesn't know how, like, he doesn't know the messaging of what it is he's trying to say. Because, like, as we talked about when we talked about this Dawn of the Dead movie, like, every zombie movie, for the most part, has a message behind it, has a political statement that it's trying to say. Even if you don't understand that it's a political statement, it is a political statement because politics is life. That's how it is. It is what it is. Like, again, whether it's the futility of the struggle, whether it's the consumerism angle, whether it's the failure of the world governments, depending on like which movie you're watching, right? There is this underlying message behind it that, like, you're on your own when shit actually goes badly.
Right.
And this movie was like, we're going to do a heist movie. We're going to drop all that shit and do a heist movie. And I'm like, oh, cool. A heist movie with zombies. I love the concept. I'm in.
Yes.
And the heist movie's a
Concept's
Vegas
amazing.
heist movie. Oh, Ocean's 11 with zombies. Oh, yeah, baby. Let's go. And it just doesn't live up to that because it's not as smart and clever. There's some clever moments, and it was one of the things I was like, cool. There's a clever moment. Hopefully, it keeps going, and it doesn't. It's whenever the initial offer was like, it's like $200 million. Like, pay whoever the fuck you want, whatever the fuck you want. I don't give a fuck. That's just your cut. And he was like, okay. So like some people were like, you're gonna get 15 million. Then you go to the other guy. It's like, you want 50,000? Like, it was just like real fucking lowball, nothing numbers. And I was like,
Elle mentioned that at one point, and I'm like, but like, you're gonna pay the helicopter pilot more than you're gonna pay the safeguard. Like, you just are. Like, that's what's
I kind of thought that like the whole like somebody would like blur, oh, I'm only getting like 500,000, and they're like, well, I'm getting like 15 million. I thought like that was gonna be like a
conflict?
Thing that
some conflict?
yeah, like a conflict.
The
Like,
you
I
guys
think-
are getting paid thing. Like, that's from some other movie. But yeah, that was another thing that was set up that didn't happen. Didn't happen at all.
Oh, like that meme? You remember that meme?
Yeah.
Like, I'm only making 100,000. Like, what? I'm only making 50,000. You guys are getting paid? Like,
that.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna get something like that, but never happened. So
I think my favorite part of the movie, though, outside of the opening sequence, which I'll talk about in a second, but after the opening sequence, I do love the introduction of people. Like, I just love that in movies anyway. I love the storytelling that comes with introducing your characters. And I thought most of them were, pretty okay. But I thought Tig Notaro's was fucking brilliant. It's my favorite scene in the whole movie.
you mean the hiring of the people scene?
Yes.
Okay.
So they go up to Tig and they're like, hey, so we need you to do something for us. And she's like, what does it pay? They go, $2 million for a day's work. She goes, yep, I'm in. Like,
That's it.
Nope, don't care. I'm in.
I don't care. I'm assuming.
Like-
no, I like it. Was like,
yeah,
I
she was
assume,
like,
I assume it has to do with me flying a fucking helicopter. Like, sure, I'm in. Like, that's why you come to me, the helicopter pilot. Hello.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was brilliant. That's the kind of satire of a zombie thing that I might want to see more of. Like, playing with the tropes just a little bit, maybe. But that's really more of a heist trope, but still.
Yeah, it's definitely a heist trope, but like, I'm fine with it. Like, again, you're blending the genre. Like, I need more of each genre to happen than.
Yeah. So that kind of segues into my next point. What genre is this?
It's supposed to be a heist zombie movie.
Okay, so is it a zombie movie or a heist movie?
It's a heist movie first, then zombies. Because the whole plan is obviously revolved around get to the safe and get out. It's a route that is a plot. That's what drives everything. The zombie thing is what's dressed around it, to me personally.
Okay, so taking that as a granted, we're looking at this as a heist movie. This is not a heist movie.
It's not.
It's missing basic components of a heist movie. A heist movie is supposed to be where you build a team of people that are all integral to the plot. Like, they have to be there to do their part of the job, or else it doesn't go at all. Like, it falls apart. And they spend time preparing. They got everything worked out. T's crossed, I's dotted. And then as soon as they get like 2 steps in, it all just falls off the park. Like it just goes off the fucking rails, and they have to adapt. That's a heist movie. That didn't happen in this movie. There was none of that.
For the most part, everything went according to plan, except for that one girl dying early on because that one guy was a dick.
Which did not need to happen. They are 30 feet from her when that's happening. They all have guns. What the fuck are we doing, guys? It's like, oh damn. Well, shit. All right. Like,
all right, just run.
No, my favorite thing is they were like, where is she? Where is she? And then like she busts out of the wall and she's like, ah, and they're like, oh God. And none of them even move to like go help. They don't start shooting. They're just like, oh no, girl, what happening? And then she gets bit, and then it's like, oh no, she got bit. Now we can't do anything.
Now we just have to blow her up in some sort of sacrifice.
And it's like, okay, like moving on. And like there's no impact on like the fact that she died at all. It's so weird. It's so weird.
So that brings me to the next point is this a zombie movie? Because it hits some of those notes, but doesn't really have some of the important things, the underlying, society element.
It wants to be a zombie movie.
It does. It plays more like a zombie movie than a heist movie because you have everybody dying. It plays just kind of like Dawn of the Dead did, where it's just a big group that keeps getting smaller. And that's very zombie-esque. Like that kind of works. But it's not a heist movie. There is no heist element. It doesn't go wrong. If you have a heist movie where nothing goes wrong getting in the safe, there can't be anything in the safe. There just can't be. Like,
right. No, right. But it's one of those things where like the zombie element of it is like you can tell Zach wants to continue to build upon what he did in Dawn of the Dead, right? Like he has an idea like, okay, we made the zombies faster. Okay, this and that. So we want to continue that from what I did before. But now it's like, guys, now they're smart zombies. All right. And it's like, okay.
Zombie, which we've played with that before in the Of the Dead series. It's not the first time we've had some sort of thinking zombie. It's set up.
But here's the thing. You have to take into account that now both of us, I don't know about five, I think that both of us have seen the making of Army of the Dead. Little 30-minute featurette. And you hear a lot of direct quotes from Snyder and company about what they were doing. And one of the things they said was like, this has never been done before. And I'm like, I see you've never heard of I Am Legend.
Right.
Because that is the fucking point. Like that this is everyone gets changed, but now they develop their own society outside of that. And now technically,
and to be clear, novel I Am Legend, not film I Am Legend.
They don't go into as deeply in the film, but at the same time in the film, like it's still the same thing. Like he is the monster now.
Yeah, if you accept the alternate ending that wasn't the theatrical ending, it's much more in line with the novel. But
right,
the original ending of the movie was terrible.
Because like it's my understanding, the way that it works, right, is that everyone gets turned except for this one guy, and like so now everyone else is adapted in this changed state and created like restarted society as that, where you sorta they kind of have a system in place, right?
Right. So I've read it, so I can summarize a little bit quicker, I think.
Okay.
He goes around during the daytime killing any of these zombie vampire things that he sees. They're never really identified what they are, but they're some sort of creature. He goes around killing them in their sleep as they're slumbering during the daytime and kind of in stasis because he thinks that they're just brainless zombies. And then eventually he gets kidnapped by a group of them because apparently when he's sleeping at night and protecting his fortress or whatever, they're functioning. They're able to communicate, all this stuff. So what he finds out is he's been going in and murdering all these people in his sleep or in their sleep, just like he kind of feels like a boogeyman would do for humanity. It'd be like if a monster, a witch or a zombie came into all of our houses and killed all of our children randomly in the night. Like it's meant to be that kind of about face where you go, oh God, I think I've been saving the human race, what's left of it, and I've actually been murdering the future.
Right, like you become Like he became that monster that he thought he was protecting people from. And it's kind of like, so you have this concept, like that's a high concept for monster movie. That's really high concept.
Yep.
And Snyder thinks that he is just like, guys, here's an idea. What if some of them were smart? And it's like, no, dude, like that has been done before. It's not been done a lot.
For a brief moment, I thought we might get something interesting because when they first started and they have all the military guys get killed and zombified. For a brief moment, we look like we have like a nice setup of 5 of them. Like there's 5 specific alpha zombie types. And then we get a little bit into the heist going on, and there's 5 of them left. And for a brief moment, I'm sitting here like, are we about to get like a showdown kind of thing? Like a good guys versus bad guys team up kind of thing? Because we haven't really seen that in like the Avengers or anything yet. We've never seen a bad guy team. So like maybe Zach will do it. And no.
You know what I was thinking though? You know what I was thinking would happen?
Not done.
What I was thinking was gonna happen was like they were like, oh, these guys are smart. They carve out their territory. I'm like, oh, are we gonna have one of those kind of like blood versus Crip zombie kind of thing where you have like a blood feud among the zombies, and you have to sit there and like parlay with one of them and group up with them, and you realize, oh, they're not so bad.
I like that. That's kind of a time machine pull. I like it.
Because like, okay, there's 2 groups of zombies and they don't like each other. They're fighting, but like you need to enter this people's territory, so you team up with the other zombies, and now you're with them. And I think of sort of the video game, not necessarily the movies, obviously, like just the general premise of how Alien versus Predator, the arcade game, worked, where it's like you and the Predators are fighting the aliens, like, because that's your joint goal. Like, I needed to exterminate this other group. Like, I don't know. I was thinking maybe something like that could have happened, but no. All it ended up being was, apparently they can reproduce. And that also goes nowhere. That also goes absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, the only like zombie baby dies. Oh well.
And you know, that's been done before by you.
Like it was meant to be shocking.
Do you have a writer in your contract that means you have to put a zombie baby in your movie? Like, it's happened twice now.
Well, no. But here's the thing: in Dawn of the Dead, already pregnant gets bit.
I know, like there's a small escalation there, but not really. It's
again, but it does add an extra implication because like this has been 6 months since Vegas fell, and so that's give or take the size of what for some reason he decides to like dive in and like pick out. Like, why did you do that? Like, that's weird personally. Like, and then shocking. And again, if you already know through some of Zack Snyder's interviews, like he was like, oh yeah, they're kidnapping women and like raping them. It's like, cool, Zack Snyder, that's what we needed in a zombie movie.
Yeah,
that implication. Like, I don't understand why you think that that's such a cool. Again, it's kind of like that quote about his Batman movies, like, oh, this Batman, like, you know, he can get raped in prison. Like, I'm sorry.
He seems to have a slight fascination with non-consent, which is, you know,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of weird, dude. Like, all so that aside,
kink, but when you stop putting it in your movie, like, then.
But all that aside, I still enjoyed the movie, even though like there's so many fucking threads that go nowhere, and I mean nowhere. Dave Bautista still kills it. Like, Tig, even though she's not actually there, does a pretty good job.
I was kind of fooled. Like, I wasn't sure who they had put in there. I actually had to look up to see who they did.
Like, so, I mean, I knew ahead of time, so like I could see the seams a little bit, but it wasn't.
Yeah, like
it really wasn't.
I think when I went back and just like to see a few things, I could tell like she had been put in one scene.
Well, one of the crazy things is though that I found hilarious was some of the 80-yard lines where they changed he to she, and then like also added some when a character's mouth wasn't showing.
Yeah,
like There's a part where Dave Bautista like bends at the hip all the way down to where he's like at a 45-degree angle, and then all you hear is this, where it's like, she screwed us, and it's like, like I was like, that was clearly not said on the day, but like, I got you, bud. Like, I got you. You gotta put as many patches on there as possible to make sure that it smooths itself the fuck over, just a little bit.
I think they left some he's in there that were referring to the former actor that just didn't get edited out or ADR'd either. They just left them.
It's just yikes.
It's fine. It's
funny.
Funny. I would gladly watch any movie with Tig Notaro digitally inserted as a replacement character. Like I'm fine with that. And that's one of the things I did not have an issue with at all.
Like I don't have a problem with that because again, like the technology is there now to where it can be pretty done really, really well, especially in a movie with this much CG already fucking thrown in. Right. It works. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing that I have a problem with. It's a fucking long movie. Zack Snyder has no like control in the editing room. Like there's no brevity at all. Everything is drawn the fuck out. Yeah. And that's where I think that's the irony though. Because I think Zack Snyder is the greatest short filmmaker in the goddamned history of the world.
I don't disagree with you on this.
The beginning of Watchmen.
I think I know where you're going.
The beginning of this movie. Like you could take just that and you have a full start to finish movie that you're like, wow, I felt things. Like it was great. The music choice was good. Like it just
I
works.
said that as we were watching it. Like after we finished watching the opening, I turned to Elle and I'm like, okay, so we just watched the first movie. Now we're watching the sequel. Like it felt very much like that. We were seeing Jurassic Part 2, like Lost World. That's the kind of movie we saw here. It feels like there was a better version of this that existed before, and this is the shitty follow-up they're just trying to cash grab on. Like it's wild to me.
The
intro really does feel like
he's such a good fucking short filmmaker. Like
he's not allowed to use any kind of dialogue. He has to use a song.
No words, use a song, and then like a montage of action. He nails it. Just absolutely nails it.
He's a very talented visual storyteller. I mean, I think that's kind of beyond doubt at this point. You may not like everything he does stylistically, but he definitely has an eye for what he's doing and does a pretty good job of it when he doesn't have to write the fucking script.
He does. And that brings me to my next point. He does have a great eye for storytelling, but do not let him be the cinematographer ever the fuck again.
Okay. I might slightly disagree on that. I didn't hate
like the weird out of focus shit the entire time?
I didn't say I liked it. I said I didn't hate it. And only because I think he was doing it on purpose. I think that was the feel he was going for. Because I've lived out in the Mojave, and like it really does feel very pressing on you when it's really hot like that. When it starts hitting 110, 115, you start to feel like your world's kind of closing in. Everything's a little fuzzy because of all the heat coming off. It's kind of what it feels like. I mean, it's hard to watch in a certain extent, but like
I thought I needed my glasses for a moment because I thought like, oh shit, dude, like is my eyesight getting that bad? No, it was his fucking choice to have the shallowest fucking lens. And again, part of that, like watching it like before watching the making of, watching it, I was kind of like, oh fuck, dude, this is so hard to watch. Yeah. Like not just because like the movie isn't good, like I like the movie, but fuck is it hard to watch. And I thought, hey, was this a decision in post to like cover up all the like the editing and the CGI? Like, oh fuck, that actually be really clever. Like if the way that you fucking get it to work is if you make everything else the fuck out of focus, and you can just put Tig right up in there, and then like no big deal, like no one's gonna notice because it's all blurred out. Then you go back, you go back to the making of, and he's all like, "I like these really old lenses. Like they were made. They're so shallow. Like so, like you have to be up close and personal. And I like that. And he has a little shoulder-mounted red camera, like the fuck into people's faces. And then he's like, I like this. And I can just say cut, and then I just tell them right then and there what I'm thinking instead of having to go to all these monitors and stuff. And I'm like, that's cool, Zach. Like, and it seems like the actors appreciate that sort of instant feedback. That's cool. because it shows that you give a shit. You're not, George Lucas sitting behind a thing, just going like, "All right, do it again, guys." Like, I think we might have gotten it. I don't know.
Great impression.
I mean, I think that it's gonna be okay if you just kind of make sure. Like, I need you to turn around and be like, "No, it's not the Senate." Like, "No, I am the Senate." Do it again, guys. Zack Snyder gives a shit.
Right. I think if you like only let him do it for like 15 minutes, that effect could be fine. Like with the right type of movie, it could be fine.
In the right moment. Okay, so that entire thing reminded me of the intro to Saving Private Ryan. The moment where like he gets the sound, basically he cuts out because he gets hit by a bomb real close. So the sound cuts out, everything's disorienting, everything's like zooming in out of focus. That entire little montage moment is what Zack Snyder did for the whole fucking movie.
Right.
Like,
it doesn't work for 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Like at a certain point, you're just like, I'm so exhausted from this.
Like it should have been an effect used for the outside desert scenes, not for inside. If it had been done that way, I would be calling it a cinematography. Like
a fucking success.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you did it. You created an effect that works.
Game.
You said instead of it just being like, hey, it's in Mexico tinted brown and orange, like you have a thing that show heat in a way that like is visceral and on the camera in the screen. But instead you did it for every shot, no matter what was happening. Even if it was something basic, like you had this weird out of focus, blurry, like, oh, I can't fucking see. Like and then that's not even to mention the dead pixels. This film, the camera was broken and the actual receiving part of the camera has dead pixels. And the crazy thing is that's easy to fix. That's the easiest thing to fix in post. Like, oh shit, this camera has dead pixels. Hang on, let me you've CGI'd the whole fucking movie apparently. You made this tiger as elaborate as you fucking could. You didn't think to go back and maybe watch the movie at full resolution and go like, that one. All right, there's a white dot there. Let's fill in all the black dots, all the white dots with black dots. Let's fill that.
Apparently nobody saw it on a 4K TV at any point during.
Nobody watched the film before releasing it. Nobody finished this fucker.
So I actually never saw any dead pixels. I've only heard about it, but last time I told you when I was trying to watch it on my TV, it wouldn't work. So
I wonder if that was related to that. I definitely had dead pixels on mine. We have a decent sized TV. It was very noticeable.
Like, especially because like a lot of this movie is dark. So when there's a white dead pixel just like blaring the fuck out, like like in this dark scene.
And I think the worst part of it too is that it's not persistent. Like it's intermittent. It pops up and then goes away and then moves, and there's 3 of them, and now it's in a different place, and now it's gone for a while, and now it's back. If it was just consistently there, I think I could have been okay with it. I could have tuned it out easier. But instead, it became a game of, oh, there's one. Oh, there's one.
Broken camera.
Oh. Okay, so
broken camera.
So these 2 shots were shot at the same time. It's got the same camera lens glitch, but that means this one wasn't. So this is a different cut. Like it took me out of the movie a lot, which kind of sucks.
Well, I mean that's the thing is you let some shit go when the movie is so good that you just ignore it for a while. Like, you just ignore it. It's not a problem. Movie mistakes are things that you easily ignore when the movie is captivating enough that you're not taken out of the movie. Okay? That just is. It just is what it is. And I'll notice it on like a rewatch, and I'll be like, yeah, look at that. That's funny. There's a guy there. Like, I never noticed the coffee cup in the Game of Thrones scene. I didn't notice that. Because I was captivated, and so I went back again. I was like, there it is. And then same with the random set guy in Mandalorian. There's a guy, I didn't notice that shit because I'm so enthralled with what was happening.
To what they want me to pay attention.
Yeah, like I was paying attention to what they wanted me to pay attention to, so it didn't like pop up really.
Yeah, but.
This movie, I was paying attention to what was going on outside of that, and that was kind of a problem. I like the movie, and that's the problem with.
It's okay. It's an okay movie, but I don't know that I'd ever go back and rewatch it. Because again, like in my head, this movie is trying to be three things. It's trying to be a heist movie, trying to be a zombie movie, and it's trying to be a Vegas movie. And we don't have elements that are, I mean,
The short film did.
The short film notwithstanding, the epilogue or the prologue doesn't count. Okay, we're talking first, second, third act, not the other stuff, which is brilliant and should be its own thing, and just only let Zack Snyder do things for like 30 minutes. But it's a zombie movie. We don't really have traditional zombies. Like we have some of the shambling type, but we have these fast ones. We don't have some of the traditional zombie scares that we have because we have a mix of zombie types, and we're focusing more on these White Walker-y types of zombies than a traditional shambling zombie. That's again him pulling. That's him pulling from modern stuff and not understanding or using it for anything, just pulling it. But we have a heist movie where the heist goes pretty well. I thought the one scene when they're at the vault hallway and they're using the zombie to set off the traps was perfect. That's a perfect thing to have in a heist movie. Why do they have traps in Vegas? I don't fucking know. I didn't care. I'm like, hell yeah.
Well, they talked about it.
Fucking face shot full of darts. That's amazing.
They did bring it up though. They were like, I thought this was illegal. Oh yeah, but this guy doesn't give a fuck. Like
they did set it up. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I didn't even care. I didn't think about why is this here. That wasn't on my mind because I was enjoying what I was seeing on screen. They microwave the fuck and so it would be warm so the zombie would want it. That's funny. That's good. I like that. It didn't go on long enough. There wasn't enough scenes like that, and there's no element of the heist. When the safe opens and the money's there, I was so disappointed. Like, it went too easy for the money to be there. It just did. But then we also have the Vegas element, and it's not really there either. Like, it's there in the opening, and we have some showgirl zombies, which is awesome. Zack Snyder does a good job of making zombies that fit into his world. Like, he's got that down. We don't want to see somebody getting slammed into a slot machine and it hitting 777s. Like, we don't see a zombie get hit in the back of the head and his eyeball pops out and lands on the roulette table. We don't see anything that is Vegas in this movie.
Okay, that would have been good. That would have been good.
Right. So we have a Vegas heist zombie movie in which there's basically no real zombies. There's no heist because it's just going and picking up a MacGuffin and then leaving and dying and not getting to use it anyway. And there's no Vegas elements. It's just not any of the three things it meant to be. And I have a very high bar when it comes to post-apocalyptic fiction set in Vegas. I just do.
Here's the thing though. Like, it is elements like that are missing because, like, you know, it could have been like really dumb but really fun. Like if you would have seen Blue Man Group zombies. Like just something so
a famous
minor.
Person.
Yeah, something
steal the Bill Murray
famous
thing and have fucking Celine Dion or something. I think that's what they were going for with the White Tiger. But the White Tigers aren't in Vegas.
Also, okay. So here's the thing: how long ago the fuck was this movie made? Because one, there's Sean Spicer. No. That's when it was released. When the fuck was it made? Why is Sean Spicer?
But it had to have been made this year because they were doing the fucking temperature checks. Like that was a COVID thing that had to happen since COVID. So last year to 16 months tops.
Well, I mean, they were doing the temperature thing, but that goes nowhere either. Like, is that a comment?
That was a perfect setup. It happened.
Like that's what makes you think because like they've had digital temperatures like that for a long time before. So it's not like it's just
right,
this.
But doing a temperature check to see if you're sick with the virus, come on. That's
like, it's
thing.
So fucking like on the nose, which again is just more disappointing as to why it didn't go anywhere.
Right, and it's being done by Porn Stash guy. It's not actually him. He's Shades from Luke Cage, but he reminds me of Porn Stash from Orange Is the New Black. Like even as satisfying as it was to see that kind of, you know, about face with the coyote tricking him to go out there to be the sacrifice, even that wasn't interesting. Like it's what I expected to happen because it was very, very heavily laid on. Like
I thought
the camera was basically winking at us as it happened. Like, okay, well, he's not going to make it.
If they were,
I knew it was going to be a sacrifice, but I didn't expect him to make it more than about 15 feet past the gate.
If the coyote knew, and there was this like added person, I thought it would just be on that guy. The guy that with the boss brought in,
right?
Like
that would have been the easy way. Like, but then he can't pull the stunt of locking a thing later. And
Yeah, but again, that's what I'm saying. You don't need those elements either. That's the thing.
Do if you're doing one specific thing, which is you are just blatantly ripping off aliens.
Right.
Because they blatantly ripped off aliens.
They basically took a lot, like, and again, that's where it's like, what are you trying? What movie are you trying to make, dude? Like, what movie?
It's beat for beat. Like, oh my god, it is beat for beat. Sometimes the red bandana,
the Vasquez character is basically Vasquez.
Yes, literally Vasquez. At the end with the escape vehicle not being there, but then the pilot of said vehicle having a conscience and coming back. Okay, aliens. The one quote.
You can believe in aliens. That as this thing is falling apart, shit's going bad, you hear there's explosions because the thing is about to explode. I can hear that you could not know that the ship was not there or not.
You could hear that there was no helicopter within 100 miles of Vegas when that's happening.
Yeah, if you've ever been in a place that has a helicopter anywhere near it, within like a 2-mile radius, you hear a slight hum when it's miles out. You'll hear it.
When it's overhead, it sounds deafening.
Yeah, when it's next to you, like you are. And if anyone's seen a press conference with a former president near a helicopter, because he seemed to do it all the time, you know what the fuck that's like, where it's just yelling over it to make sure you can hear. If it is 20 feet from you, but just below eyesight, there isn't a, oh no, where did the chopper go, guys? God dang it. It would be loud as fuck. Like I don't care how like adrenaline filled you are. No, you're not gonna hear that motherfucker or even feel it.
You're gonna pause and be like, oh damn, I think she's leaving me.
You hear it getting farther away.
Yeah, you'd hear it fucking leaving you, like, oh no, not gone now.
But if they don't have that break there, if they don't have that break there, then they don't have the follow up with the zombie getting to the roof and causing the crash. Like the whole plot just works out fine if they just get in the helicopter and leave. I think it's all fine.
Which would have been okay. Actually, no,
I would have been fine with it.
I would have been fine if he wanted to steal from Game of Thrones there at that moment, where we've seen the superhuman strength already with the spear. So like the helicopter starts taking off, he spears the shit out of it, and it goes down, and they have to then get the fuck out or find another shelter.
Yeah, that wouldn't suck.
But the thing is, Zack Snyder doesn't understand money, and he also doesn't understand like the nature of particular explosions. A nuclear bomb going off, even a small yield bomb, is glassing the shit out of Vegas. Not just because it's a desert, but because it's just gonna fucking just glass the fuck out of that area.
Vegas is a big open space. There's nothing to diffract it. There's nothing to slow it down.
The distance that the helicopter would need to cover to avoid like radiation, like death, very quickly would be a way further than what they did. Like, it's just not going to be a thing. Like we've already
been an exceptionally small yield, but you just don't get the impression that's going to happen when the president in that movie appears to be a Trump analog.
And even then, it's like it's a finished, like we're gonna destroy it and be done. Like so, you go for a pretty decent sized nuke anyway. So there's no way that epilogue would happen either because of that, where it's just like he just then leaves the safe and.
Oh yeah, because then he would have just.
I knew he was going to survive in the safe, like that. That I had no doubts on, like obviously, but like for him to just come out, be bitten, and then them go, okay, well I guess everything's gonna happen all over again. Cool.
Like it's a setup to nothing, and there's no need for it.
Right.
Like
and ultimately, again, like. I have such high expectations for something like this because there is media that has a heist in a post-apocalyptic Mojave Desert with zombies in it. It's fucking Fallout New Vegas' Dead Money. And it's the exact same idea that there's a pre-war vault in a zombie-infested area that's got gold in it, so we got to go get it. And I got to tell you, like, that is a far better version of telling that story than this is.
You know what the epilogue should have been. So,
Mr. House,
Vegas is nuked, and now you have the military coming in to do, inspections and checking. Clear the area up. Whatever, scrub the radiation. Like, say that technology exists now. Sure. Say you can put a little tag that says how many years later. Like, it's a good thing we have this nuclear scrubbing technology. Like, just a one-off line to be like, we're cleaning up radiation, clearing this area to be,
just a news person doing an interview saying that in the background as you pan across it's enough. And so
they find as they're digging out this wreckage and shit, they find the safe, and the safe is there, and then they open it up, and he's there, like sitting on a throne made of cash, because he's just been sitting there patiently waiting. And it's one of those things where, like, he's on the throne of cash, dried out and dead, but it's raining because they set that up, and now the safe's open and he's getting wet, and now he's gonna be revived, and it starts all over again from that.
See, that would have been awesome. Actually, I would have forgiven everything if that was the ending.
If you were like, oh shit, they brought back the rain thing, like, he's been in the safe kept him his body at least not destroyed, and while he was in there, he built a throne out of cash. Like, holy, because what else are you gonna fucking do with all that time, right? And then the rain brings him back, and then, like, at the very end, it just cuts his eyes opening because he's getting wet. I'm in. Like, there you go, you set it up. It up. And it's a cycle.
You know it'd be even better?
Yeah, it also...
Just do the prologue as the whole movie and leave it there.
What do you mean?
Just do the prologue. That's a much better concept for a movie. Just do that as like a 90-minute thing, and then you're good.
Oh, where you just see everything going to shit.
Like, you see all of their origin stories. Like, that was great. That was the movie I would have preferred to see based on what the end result of this was. I don't know. Like, there were some, like, interesting moments. I mean, them checking people to see if they're infected, them just coldly executing people when they are. Like, there's a lot of storytelling in that. It doesn't continue after those scenes stop. Oh, Zach.
What I was gonna say with Kitty Man's ending was, it actually works out well, because they even say it in the movie where, like, they go to the safe and there's like bodies of like other people who have tried to break into the safe, and he mentions, maybe we're in a time loop.
Yeah,
and
then
then
go anywhere.
if you go into the future, it's like now he's the zombie, and it continues the cycle over again. It would have, in a way, also worked out in that way.
It's just one of those things where there's a lot of things. There's a lot of potential in these ideas, but you start wondering and seeing a lot of weird, like, Zack Snyder's the names will give him money. And you see that again with what's happening recently with J.J. Abrams, right? Like, J.J. Abrams has made some pretty decent stuff. Not necessarily like the best, but like, it's good. Lost, people liked it, even though the ending sucked. They're fine, whatever. But like, you could tell by the end of Lost, oh fuck, they had no plan what the fuck they were doing. It's all just off the seat of his pants. And you should have seen that from there. So Star Trek, okay, he does Star Trek. It's pretty good. Like, people like it. It's not great. It's not Star Trek, but
it's not the worst Star Trek movie.
I mean, but it's not Star Trek. That's the thing. It's
Galaxy
Star Trek.
Quest is a better Star Trek movie.
Right. It's not Star Trek to me. Like, it is Star Wars posing as Star Trek. And that's kind of where that lies. But then, like, you get him into Star Wars, and you're like, oh, cool, there's a lot of starting setup. And then after The Last Jedi, I knew right then and there, I'm like, oh, they have no plan. Because that's the reason why they were like, here's Rian Johnson, here be writer and director. And it's like, That's never happened. Like that's never
Yeah,
happened
we were really
since.
hoping he would just fix it.
Yeah, not since Star Wars 1977 with George Lucas, which got saved in editing after the fact. Do you have a writer director like that? Like you had Lawrence Kasdan in immediately in Empire Strikes Back. Collaboration is what makes it work.
Yeah.
So like Ryan, whether you love or hate The Last Jedi, like it was definitely a here you go, dude. Base it off what we tried to do in the first movie, and it's like okay. So he was like, how about we just flip it on its head? Like, and whether or not you think that worked, that's interesting at least. And then they were like, oh, we don't like the reception of it. J.J. Abrams come back, and he was like, here, and just shit out a movie that was absolutely terrible. Like, by the way, actually, you're a Palpatine. Oh.
Somehow Palpatine is returning.
And then at the end, what's your name? Rey Skywalker. Like, oh.
Rey Skywalker.
Like that's like I hate the whole lineage thing still. Like the space lineage thing is just like there's so many interesting stories outside of the space lineage. That's why Mandalorian works so well. No one is like you're not sitting there following a fucking Solo, following a Skywalker, it has nothing to do with those assholes. Like
You bring in a few elements from the previous to make it fit. It works.
You said it in the area, you said it in the universe in the time period, sure, but like, get that shit out of here.
There was a lot of referential stuff in the Mandalorian that really could have gone the route of fan service, and none of it ever felt that way. It felt organic and
it did if
like
you were a Filoni person who like watched all of Filoni's work, you'd be like, oh fuck yeah, dude. Like way to build upon your own world.
Doesn't?
Right? Like way to build upon it now. It's like now you can be more exposed to it. But like my entire problem still is that they're like, well, Zack Snyder, here you go. Like do whatever the fuck you want. Like here, and it's kind of weird to see him like go and complain that Warner Brothers isn't just like handing him the entire fucking key, like the keys to the car to drive the entire DC universe anymore. He's all like, it was really hard to work with them on the Snyder cut. It's like, because they were trying to recoup a loss, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, unfortunately, it was just mistake after mistake after mistake. Like, I don't know that it was cheaper to pay you or give you fucking $30 million to re-release a movie than to spend $150 million to release a new movie. Like, that's just simple business math. Like, yeah, it's gonna cost you $30 million to finish this as you wanted to. You can call it a new movie. It's not $150 million to $300 million. Like that's just basic math. Basic math. It's not gonna be as much. I don't know. I just decisions that they are making.
Well, and here's some more interesting decisions they're making. Because again, I think that what they should have done rather than telling this story is tell the story they told in the opening. I think that's a much better idea. They have already confirmed not one, but two prequel properties. There's a prequel movie being made that explains how the German safecracker came about being. And there's an anime style series going on Netflix that's just the prequel stuff. It's just how all these characters got to know each other in the first place.
So they're making
So the movie you should have made. Why didn't you make that first?
Here's my question. Was the safecracker guy that interesting to require its own origin?
I liked him.
But like,
Interesting? Yeah.
But think about it. What? Like, oh, he's like, I like safes. All right, that's your character. Good job.
Yeah, funny accent, decent person.
Yeah, like he was good at what he did, and he had that that moment where he like was like, "You don't understand how complicated this shit." Like I was like, "Okay, cool." Like you're confident, but he could be your favorite, but that doesn't make an entire movie or series around him. Like I don't know, it's just weird. But at the same time,
it's called Army of Thieves, by the way.
Ugh.
So presumably it's going to be another
heist movie.
Heist idea. Like,
But
okay, I
is
guess
it
we didn't
gonna
really
just
get
be?
to the heist on this one, so I guess we'll just make a prequel that's a heist now.
So is it gonna be like a zombie movie or anything
Yes,
like
it,
that?
it it takes place in the early days of this same pandemic, just not the Vegas stuff. So you combine that in the anime series they're doing, and that's the first
Movie.
15, 20 minutes of the movie. Like, that's what it should
Like,
have been. You should have done that fucking first. It just feels like Ocean's 12 to me. Doesn't feel like Ocean's 11. It doesn't feel like either of those, actually, because there's no heist, but you know what I mean. Like, this feels like the one they made second, and they got most of the people back, but couldn't get like the best people back, so they replaced the main actor, and then just kind of made it anyway. I don't know.
Well, that's so weird.
It's strange.
But I mean, it's one of those things where I think that Netflix definitely does make better, riskier decisions in that sense. Like they buy a lot of things that have already been made a lot of the time. Like, oh, sure, yeah, sure, we'll buy that. Like, we'll buy that and
Right.
distribute, whatever. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same as like,
You're
what's been
not
going
fighting
on.
production.
It's not the merger fucking mania that's been happening. So, like, AT&T is selling Warner Media to fucking Discovery, and then Amazon bought MGM, and including James Bond and all that other stuff. So it's like, cool. So we have Disney buying up everything. Amazon's buying up a ton of stuff, and now Discovery's gonna have a bunch of stuff. It's like, it's where the antitrust laws coming in. Like, holy shit, how many media corporations does it need to be? Like, there's already 6 movie studios, right? Like, we're gonna bring it down to like 3. Like, damn, dude. Like, can we figure this one out? Like, can we not have everything under the same umbrella, please? This is really rough. It's really rough. Like, it's to me, it's not a good thing. To me, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing to see everything being put under like bigger and bigger umbrellas. You'll never see a mid-level budget movie again. Like, it just won't happen.
everything's got to be big budget, huge premiere.
Because
Everything has to make Avenger levels money, or else it'll just get axed.
yeah, if you're not sitting there actually producing a $150 to $300 million movie and then also getting a $600 million return, like, you're not going to be made. Like, and I think of things like what I think of Super, James Gunn's Super, $3 million to make, and then off the back of that he makes Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, but you won't get those kinds of smaller movies. Like, I think about things like Back to the Future, which was made for like what, 15 million or something like that, something small. Like, nowadays that would be a fucking 150 $300 million franchise to start. Like, it's a high concept, we gotta throw all the money into it, we can't
But more accurately, that movie wouldn't get made. Like, they'd be like, this is too weird. There's this weird relationship with the mom. Nobody cares about the 50s anymore. No, we're not doing this. They just wouldn't have made it.
it's just and I'm not a fan of like everything being bought up, you know. It's just like, come on, man. Like, it's making it, it's the one thing that is really weird, because like I feel like, as much as like Disney big bad, like I feel like they're still doing the creative side of it as well as they could be. They're like, Marvel, do your own thing. Like, we're gonna own you, but do your own thing for the most part. Like, especially
Like, you know your property better than we do, so just
run your ideas by us.
make money. Yeah, run it by us, but make money. Be successful at it. Do your thing. Like, go ahead, Marvel. Like, Kevin Feige clearly has the fucking idea planned out. Like, you were apparently the new Spider-Man movie is going to be like the kind of jumping off point, because I'm assuming that's going to be part of the multiverse thing. That's going to be like the jumping off point that makes sense to cross over the Sony universe of shit.
Maybe.
So that was a quote from Sony exec saying that, yeah, like you'll get a lot more information once that movie comes out. That you're gonna see that movie, and then you're gonna understand a little bit more about what there's, because there's plans in the making. And it's like, okay, I can see that working out. Like if you open up the possibility that like, okay, multiverses again, sure. Whatever. I'm not gonna care. Like you do your thing. I still think that you should have gotten someone else to play Carnage, but still, you know, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. But one of the things I know that you were excited about, Nick, was the Rangers of the New Republic. That has been put on hold.
Oh, good. Good.
Yeah, that has been put on hold because it was supposed to be led by Gina Carano.
Oops.
Well,
Oops.
Gina Carano decided I'm going to nuke my career and only work with Ben Shabibo. So it looks like that show's not happening anymore.
You just hate to see it. Well, honestly, that's fine. Like, it'll be replaced by something else. It's not like we're going to get something Star Wars out of it. So, whatever.
I mean, I haven't been watching The Bad Batch, so you can tell me how that's been going.
I'm not fully caught up, but I've enjoyed it so far. It feels like it picks up directly where Clone Wars was. They did the most recent season of Clone Wars, which is kind of going back and reviving it to tell the Order 66 story, basically. That's kind of where it's
perspective.
Yeah, and that's where it's kind of picking up from, is like we see Order 66 from the Bad Batch's perspective from there on. So that's really interesting. You know, we've seen stuff like that in the EU before, but not
how much. I would say how much does that borrow from things like Republic Commando?
Nothing really. So the DC-15, the gun. One of the Bad Batch carries the DC-15, but that's about it so far. But it's still really early. It's yet another one of those things where, Filoni has this kind of trope that he likes to go to, where we just got a random kid, and you're just gonna have to be a father figure. You're not a father of any kind. You're not a parent. You can't function, but you're the nearest man, so you have to take care of this kid. All right.
I wonder if Filoni is trying to tell us anything about that, or
there seems to be some sort of story there, but none of my business.
Or that's just saying that was George's trope, so I must continue that same trope, because like Luke and Vader, that whole thing. Then you have like Anakin, Qui-Gon slash
Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but
Obi-Wan.
Luke was a late teen, early 20 at that point, like whiny, but like
it was 19,
adultish. Omega is like 10,
right? But that's what I'm saying. Where like that's kind of. Again, the funny trope would be like, oh, he's too old. Like Luke was too old. He's already 19. He's out of his adolescence. I understand that. That's why I thought it was funny when they tried to do it again, and they were like, Anakin's too old. Like the dude's like 10. How young are you fucking taking these kids? Right. Then they show him the
brainwash him before they even recognize their parents.
Like, yeah, they don't they don't have object permanence, and you're fucking wielding a lightsaber already. All right, like sure.
Unpopular opinion maybe, but the Jedi are not good people. Like,
no, they take kids and then they tell them, no, this is the only way you can live. You don't like it, you can go to like a farm world or just leave.
You're not allowed to love.
Apparently our two options in space future are space fascism and space oligarchy. Those are the two options we have, and they both fucking suck. And no.
I mean, you have to forget, you also have the weird, like, you could just run a 50s diner in space for some reason. Like,
I love that.
You could just be like
there's a market for a 50s diner on Coruscant. Awesome.
Sure.
Awesome. Hell yeah.
Like,
that means I could probably pull off my dream of a cat cafe. We can make it happen.
That's what should have been in there, because that would have been the real feature, right? You would have you have Obi-Wan walk into this like cat cafe, and then the cat girl comes up and is all like, "Nya, how can I help you today?" And then it's kind of like, "Oh, I'm here to see the owner." And the owner comes out and just like a fat slob, like, "Hey, Obi-Wan, come on, let's go sit down." And he's just kind of like, Sure. No, this is your thing. Like, it's not my thing, but like, I'm happy for you. And you're like, ah! And then like you see people, like you see just like girls in the back, like just. Oh man. Because like I think that'd be more of a draw than a 50s diner.
Hell, I really think the Jedi are more oligarchy. It's a religious, government that's run by a council. So
it's a thing though where whenever you set something kind of in the future or even near future, kind of make it realistic to what would actually be happening. And I think of Minority Report. Like when they go to when he takes the one precog to a place where they go for brain hacking, essentially. Like it's a place that people go to live out their fantasies in a brain dive, where like that sort of thing is quote unquote illegal. Like I like that. Like that's cool. That's super cool in sci-fi that you're hacking into someone's brain and making them like live these fantasies, and that's what they're getting basically high on.
That's super cyberpunk. That's very.
It's so cyberpunk. It's fucking Ghost in the Shell cyberpunk. Like because that was a
Total Recall ish too.
That was an episode of Ghost in the Shell of the show. Was there was this movie that this guy made and like put into a cyber brain, right? And then like people like would leave their bodies and their bodies would die while their ghost was in this box to watch this movie, because the movie just compels them. And this whole thing is kind of like, are they trapping him? Is it kidnapping? And they're like, it's not. Like it's just open to the net and people are able to get in, and they're just so compelled by this movie that they don't want to leave. And then like the major goes in there and cries and was like, what the fuck is that? Like, I'm actually feeling things. I can see why I'm trapped. Like, it's such a great episode. And that's what like I see. Like, that's where you go for the weird cyberpunk cool shit. Like, that's where you go for these big brain, big concept ideas. And then you don't see that in any movies, really. It still turns into generic action movie. Like every other thing, going back to Army of the Dead. Holy fuck. The safecracker who I've never killed a zombie before, and he asking the really dumb questions. What if I hit him in the head? And Dave Bautista's like, I mean, you're still targeting the brain, so yes, like yes, you're right. It will work. Like, and hilarious. But then like perfect shot as soon as he picks up a gun. Every shot's a headshot. There are no missed shots. Everyone's just amazingly like the best.
I think that's meant to be set up for this prequel idea. Like, we're meant to go, why is this fucking nerd all of a sudden like he's Chuck? He downloaded the Intersect and now he's got fucking gun fu powers. Like, okay, so that came from somewhere. Prequel. I'm not interested, but like, I see how in the Snyder verse that's a setup for.
I guess. That's Snyder's way of setting things up.
Yeah, so it's really subtle, guys. You may not even seen it.
That's what I'm saying. But everyone was like a super sharpshooter and like amazing with their weapons. But then again, you then go back to the first girl dying, and no one bothered to even fire a shot until after she was already bitten. And you're like, where was your sharp shooting then, guys? Like, you guys could have saved her. Like, you go, pop as you're running in, grab her and drag her out, pop, and then like.
Right, if you could single shot the tank to blow them all up, you could have shot the zombies that were about to bite her. Who knows?
Maybe.
Just worth a thought, I guess.
Like, damn, guys, like this is a really weird
way.
Cold.
I'm just like, damn, she's done.
It was really rough. It's really rough as far as how you're gonna go out.
I mean, it could be worse. You could have your face smashed in by a zombie tiger. I thought the zombie tiger and the zombie horse were awesome.
They were great designs, and oh man, seeing the behind the scenes, the way they did the horse. Oh, Snyder, you are brilliant. Someone still needs to take shit away from you, though. Like, fuck.
He's just still apparently a commercial director at heart. Like, he thinks in such small scale and visually that you're like, yeah, I can see why you made commercials. It makes really good sense. And that's not even a knock. Like, there's certainly an art to visual and short form storytelling.
I mean, I think
just do that.
I think of the fact that like Tony Scott was initially a commercial director, and he directed a commercial with a jet and a car. It was a car commercial, and it had a jet like behind a car, and they were like basically racing each other, sort of. And so that's how you got Top Gun. Like,
Makes sense.
you worked with fighter jets, like you understand how to shoot them, how to frame them. Like, let's give you the movie. And with Zack Snyder, you see his commercials, you see his work, and you're like, I see why they give you the money, but like they don't see the other elements around Zack Snyder that make those movies good. Like a good cinematographer helps, a good writer helps, like all these things, or a pre-written story is give him on rails, like Watchmen and 300. Give him the rails that he needs to tell that story, and he can then apply his visuals to it. And it comes out better.
He just needs a partner. Like, apparently his wife does not tell him no. Because, you know, they work together. Deborah Snyder is the production.
She's a producer
on most of his work. She apparently doesn't tell him no. And that's a problem. He needs to be told no occasionally.
Did you watch? You watched it. You saw how she talks about him. She's an enabler. She is not 100%. A creative like
he
questioner.
Somebody
she doesn't question
looking
anything.
over his shoulder to be like, you know what?
Maybe don't do that. Change
maybe
that.
Not that.
Tweak it a little bit.
Like maybe not the out of focus thing all the time. Maybe use it to tell something.
Use it outside. It's good effect for outside. But once you're inside,
it really does feel like being out in the desert. Like I've never, not never, but I don't see a lot of movies that really do a good job of making you feel like you're in the environment visually, and that did. I felt like I was back in fucking Vegas. It was great, but not for inside. For inside.
It's one of those things where you gotta restrain him, you gotta bring it in, or else you get the 4.5 hour Snyder cut and you get this 2.5 hour fucking zombie heist movie. Like it could have been a tight, maybe like 100, 110, maybe. Like tighten that up that much. Like cut off 40 minutes of this fucker. Like you gotta tighten that up.
Like let me ask you this: if somebody asked you to make a zombie heist movie, what would you do to go about preparing for that?
Well, the first thing would be like, of course, setting. So like, are they breaking into a bank, or are they breaking into like Fort Knox, or like something memorable? Okay, so you choose Vegas. Cool. Yes, good start. So if you want to go with Vegas, you want to have all the Vegas elements to it. And that was the short movie at the start. Like that's it. Like I would have loved to see more Vegas stables be a part of it. Like show me gambling. Like I don't know.
I think if somebody came to me and said, Nick, I need you to make Army of the Dead set in Vegas, lead zombies in Vegas. I think I might, watch some heist movies. Like, I might watch The Italian Job and just mark down the beats. Like, okay, here's the act structure. Into the first act, we have this. In the second act, we have this. And let's just try and mirror that a little bit. Not necessarily beat for beat, but surely. Maybe you watch, Ocean's 11 or Heat or something that, shows any kind of heist. I don't know. Maybe watch Mars Attacks to see what Vegas looks like, since you've never been, apparently. That never once looked like Vegas. It just didn't.
It did. You see what the behind the scenes things was. Like they put a lot of work for the smallest amount of scenery. For
the rubble to look good. But then the fucking hotels aren't there. You can't tell where you are on the strip because there's nothing standing anymore.
The safe scene was just a hallway. You could have been anywhere.
They even had the very famous Welcome to Las Vegas sign as part of the kids in cages camp, and it's just not even it's barely even lingered on. It just kind of goes by. And
the kids in cages thing, there's imagery very, very fucking direct,
and it doesn't mean anything. There's no story being told there. They're just maybe they have zombies, so we're gonna keep them here for a while.
No politics there.
It's
it's like these people have been surviving in there for weeks in their own society. Are now trying to find a way back into regular. No, none of that. Just somebody cage. It's fine.
It's like the temperature check. The kids in cages, the society that's formed within the border. All these things are just briefly mentioned and then just forgotten. They even have everyone have like accents and shit. That's the thing that gets me. You have these kids in cages and they're like, oh, they were here from Vegas. What? So everyone from Vegas is like, vaguely ethnic? Is that what's happening? Is that what
it's like it doesn't even occur to him that, oh, maybe we should only have brown people in our prison.
Well, not even just that. Like, if the commentary there then is, well, all the white people could afford to get the fuck out. Like, that's something that you could fucking make a comment on. Like,
right.
these are the people who like grew up in Vegas and like Henderson, like in that area, but like they aren't the well-off people. These people who were born here, and like the native population here is not the same as like the people who are rich and own everything.
Right.
Like, that's commentary.
If they'd done something where you have Vegas being walled off, but there's still lots of people inside, and they've had to try and escape, and they won't let them, so they have some sort of stronghold that they're surviving in. Like, then we have some sort of commentary. Then there's an immigration story to tell, but he just doesn't.
Well, that story was the prequel part. Right. Like, that was 100% the prequel part. That operation is to get the last remaining survivors out who were trapped behind that wall.
Right, which is a much more interesting story.
Yeah, they opened that wall to basically go rescue these last of like these people who are technically American citizens, et cetera, before the nuke gets sent in. Like, that would be where that nuke plot line comes in.
You can very easily pull the Lost World Jurassic Park 2 with that too, where you have them going into the pretense of getting all the people out, but the
real motive, the real motive,
sent his blackie in to go with you. He's trying to get the money in.
No, because like here's how you do the combination commentary switch thing, right? So you send in like you're following these like two squads of army people, right? One squad has a separate goal, and that's to get the money, and the other squad is to get the people out. Instead of it just being the daughter trying to get this one person out, like the goal, they thought the goal was for this. No, the real goal was to get into the vault.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like that's what it should have been. Absolutely.
Like, it could have been this two divergent path thing where like they're like, oh, we're gonna go over here, but like then they discover, oh shit, it's actually a heist thing, and then it's like a weird like they converge and they have to fight about it. There's conflict. I don't know. There's so many possibilities you could have done with. But then you have to add commentary about things, and can't have that. Not here.
I don't think he has enough of a story to tell on his own. Really, it's all right for him.
Hey guys,
tell him not to do stupid shit.
The Kent farm is being foreclosed on. I guess I could just pay the bank the amount that they owe plus buy the property off. No, I bought the bank because I clearly have no idea how money works. Like. Thank you, Zack Snyder. He bought the bank because he's rich. Get it?
Yeah, and like that could have been done well and has been done well in many other Batman scenarios. The Dark Knight does where he buys the hotel. Like, okay, yeah, that works. Rich Batman buying things because he has no concept of money is a thing that can be funny, and it just wasn't there.
Because this wasn't for a show. Like, this was like they do that in that movie because Christopher Nolan knows to show that he needs to be an asshole, over the top person in public to like again throw off the trail. He could never be Batman. This asshole who just went out and bought a hotel, like, and is right. With a bunch of hot supermodels in the pool. They're in the water feature. Like, this guy's crazy.
And I think that's what he was probably going for, was like, Bruce Wayne can't just buy this one random house. That wouldn't be appropriate. But like the whole world knows that he's Superman. Like, nobody hasn't picked up on that at this point. So like a rich person just helping out an old woman wouldn't be all that crazy. It wouldn't actually stick out that bad. Like, Batman buying up specific components to a bat suit, sure, looks odd, do it through shell companies, whatever. Buying the house from an old woman who's being foreclosed on after her husband died and the son died? You can just do that.
Yeah.
You just be a nice dude.
Also, not only that, you have so much money that would be like a drop in the bucket on other on other properties that you've been buying. Like, right. You're just like, I'm gonna buy that. Like, oh, I saw that house being foreclosed. I figured like it doesn't, like, just buy it anyway. Like, it was included in a lump of other things. Like, I was just buying.
You know what could have been funny? If he was like, or if she knew that somehow the bank would, or I don't know, if something happened to where there was no expectation that they would actually sell the house to somebody, he was like, oh yeah, I just bought the whole town. Like that could maybe work. Little back to Schitt's Creek reference.
I bought the incorporation to Smallville.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, like okay, so you own Smallville now, got it.
Like I tried to buy the house, the bank was being dicks, so I just bought the whole city. I own all the bank. We're good. Like okay.
Like that's funny. Still doesn't work really, but it's funnier.
It doesn't need to happen there at all.
Yeah, it's
the foreclosure thing never needed to happen. Like that's just a weird thing to put in a movie. Like imagine sitting around the fucking writers being like, okay,
we need some conflict.
So we open up with the Kent farm being foreclosed. Like it's just not a thing you do in a Superman movie.
Oh, and Lois and Ma Kent are super close friends. All right, they're going to be super close friends, but we're going to cut out the scenes that actually give them any sort of character to help pass the Bechdel test. I don't know. It's just a lot of these movies are a mess, and you can see where a lot of decisions behind the scenes are being made because they think that certain things are safe bets. Like it worked out here in Army of the Dead overall, but like they're gonna
worked out because there was no need to get a box office return. That's why this worked. Like I think if this were actually like a theatrical thing, especially right now, it wouldn't do anything. Like it's interesting enough, but it's not going to get rave reviews. It's the kind of thing where lots of people will go, well, I already have Netflix, I'll just watch those. I don't think people would spend a lot of money for
yeah, it's a weird thing. It's definitely weird because like as more and more people get vaccinated and like movie theaters start opening up, like a lot of people that I know saw A Quiet Place 2. I didn't even know it was finished, but there's apparently like a Q&A and everything. Like, and a lot of people are going out and seeing it. Like, that's cool, I guess. But, like, I don't know. I just think that it's a weird time where like, because remember, Warner Media was trying to compete with Netflix, but we're gonna release a movie a week for an entire fucking year. Like you're gonna fuck the movie theaters. We're gonna release it simultaneously in theaters and this and that. It's like, all right, cool. That's a good good attempt, I guess. Like, but then they are getting sold off now. Like, so I don't know how well that bet really worked for them.
Didn't really.
Like, I'm sorry, but the movie theater experience, like as is something different compared to watching shit at home. Like it can be very, very close and similar. I don't mind shit. I don't mind watching new stuff on my phone. Like I don't need this. I go to this as a social experience. Like, but if I can have that same social experience, like in a much more private setting, I will. Like, I don't know.
Right. If smaller, fewer like capacity theaters were a thing, I would probably be more inclined.
We had one.
Like
we had a really
like
good
an 8
small
to 10
theater.
person pod. Like that would be.
Where I grew up, we had a 4-screen cinema. So like you had like current movie, and then like old movie. Like you can go see whatever the fuck you wanted. If you wanted to show something, you could like pay to like show, and like a lot of times like church groups would do it, where they'd be like, we want to watch a particular movie. We want to watch the old 10 Commandments movie, like all together. We get the congregation, get the family. We're gonna sit there and watch an old fucking movie on the big screen, and they sit there and watch 10 Commandments. Everyone has a great time. Like that's fine. Like, but like I don't know. It's kind of getting like, why are you trying to compete with the theater experience? You can't. Like you're just gonna like, it's so big that like you could have let it die on its own, but you decided to compete with it, so people started to meme it with like AMC stock. Like I don't know what you're doing, dude. Like I don't know what you're trying to do competing with the memes. Like
that is a fight you'll never win. You just can't beat the memes.
Like it's the only reason that GameStop hasn't cratered yet. I don't know. It's so complex, and then there's the Warner Media is getting sold off. MGM got bought up, and people think like, oh, cool, yay! MGM got bought up. That means the new Bond movie can be released now on Amazon Prime. It's kind of like, I don't want James Bond to just purely be released on Amazon Prime. Sorry. Like, that's not what I wanted James Bond to end up being.
Right.
Because it was already in a bad spot to me, even though I like the movies. To change from like campy like spy movies to super serious Jason Bourne movies.
They stopped being fun.
Like, yeah, it's not fun anymore. And I get it. They were mad because of Austin Powers. I get it. You're upset that someone poked fun at your franchise. But like, just because someone makes fun of your shit doesn't mean you can't keep making good shit. Like, just
James Bond was making fun of James Bond before Austin Powers existed.
Right. Like, you have to understand that
Casino Royale,
they fucking turned up the fun. That's it. Like, you can be more serious, but like, you have the fun elements. You removed all the fun, and like, there's still good movies. Like, I like Jason Bourne movies, but they're not Bond movies with like, here's a gadget where like I have a flashbang on my cufflink, like, boom, and like, or like, yeah, look at my watch that has a fucking a zip wire that I can like shoot out and then swing on my arm. Like, no, dude, like that's the fun stuff, and you guys have made it way too realistic. Like, I don't know. I need more fun. That's why I thought that Army of the Dead was going to be more fun. But like, it just wasn't as fun as I liked it. Wasn't as fun as I thought it could be. Or
I
wanted
really
to be.
hate that people are taking that style of poster and putting it all over the place. Because if you're going to do those bright, flashy neon colors, I expect bright, flashy neon colors in the movie. Especially with it being set in Vegas, I definitely expected that.
So let's talk about that. It was brown. That movie was brown as fuck.
Vegas with no neon.
Like,
even Fallout has neon in New Vegas.
You took the sheen out of Vegas. You took the glitz and the glamour completely out of Vegas. And that sucks. Like, that's a bit upsetting. But at least it doesn't have Dalmatians killing your mother.
It doesn't.
Like,
for better or for worse.
Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to see what we're gonna talk about next time. I'd say next week, but who knows? Fox Family might show up and take over the entire room, take over the house. But yeah, that it's so weird as things continue to develop. Like, you know, normalcy, for better or for worse, is returning. Movie releases are happening, and so like.
I can definitely tell you, as somebody who works at a strip mall, it's kind of sad to kind of see like
it's popping off again.
A whole bunch, like everything popping off again. Even though it's like, we're getting towards the end, I think we still need to be a little more careful.
We definitely will still be careful.
Because then what will happen is everybody's just gonna get sick again and lock everything back up. Back in quarantine for another 2 to 3 months. 4.
Yeah, I'm just the implications behind this push for releasing stuff. I'm just like, all right, dude, I'll catch it whenever it gets on a streaming site, but like a streaming service. You release that shit on Netflix, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But
maybe we can catch up on Bad Batch.
Yeah, like it's kind of like I'll go back and watch old stuff again before being like, I don't trust any of you. Like, I don't know any of you. Like, until we're at a much higher percentage of people being, you know, taking care of stuff, then I'm gonna be okay with it. I'm gonna be okay with not going out. All right, it's gonna be okay.
I have a very nice home theater set up.
But either way, hopefully there's still some more interesting stuff next time. I don't think we're ever gonna top like this year that Cruella clip. I don't think that's ever gonna be topped this year. Wild. It's so weird. Like, I'd rather I don't know. It's not. I guess it's something to keep people talking.
We're talking about it.
It's fucking silly. Maybe that's all that they want, is people to talk about how silly their movie is. Because I don't think they're really aiming to make any good movies anymore. At least not those live action remakes of old movies. Like,
is it still like 101 Dalmatians, just through Corella's perspective.
I don't know. I don't know if it ever gets to the point where they're trying to get like, Pongo and shit. Like I don't know if any of those characters are in there in that movie. I don't.
Because I never saw Maleficent. I don't know if that's just like
Maleficent
Didn't
is that.
either.
Maleficent, you haven't seen it either?
no.
I'm familiar with enough to know, but I haven't actually sat down and watched the whole thing.
I definitely recommend Maleficent. It's heavy-handed at a lot of points, but it's one of those things where it is the same movie for the most part, but told from their point of view, right? It's from Maleficent's point of view, and where it's not necessarily like you definitely get the sense of like it was an unreliable narrator kind of thing, and it was a history is written by the victor. Kind of like this is how we were. This evil woman, this witch came by and put a curse, and it's kind of like no, all that was like for a reason. It was out of anger, out of spite, and then yeah, it makes the movie to me. Like the fact that it actually pulls off the reason why people think that she's evil is because like everyone thinks they're the good guy in their own story. And like the effect of your actions aren't really felt, and then like if you are the guilty party, there tends to be gaslighting if you're already that kind of asshole. So like it kind of shows that side of it, and it's really like.
And I can understand that. I wouldn't hate to maybe see something like that instead of Cruella, like say Wicked. Why is there not a fucking Wicked movie? It's right there. It's the trope creator, and we're not gonna just put it on film. Like what the fuck? What the fuck?
Essentially, that's what Maleficent kind of like pulls off. It pulls off the Wicked plot,
pulling the F above, about face on who's the bad guy. Yeah, I get it. We've done it before. It's not even new. It's a trope, and you haven't even put the actual trope starter on fucking streaming somewhere. I can watch Hamilton, and I can't watch Wicked. Sexist. Oh, fuck.
I think it's definitely a missed opportunity because like we even have Cats 1998. Like I don't even know like like I could watch that instead of the Cats 2019 movie.
That's a much better version of Cats.
It's the better version of Cats. Yeah.
I never even saw that start to finish, but I've seen the commercial for that on my old VHS tape so many times that I basically saw Cats that way. Like that is the definitive Cats for me. Is that fucking 98 stage recording?
All you need is some lycra and some fur, and you're good to go.
It looked great. It didn't have to look any better. I don't need photorealistic cats for fucking cats. Like
I don't need photorealistic animals. Lion King. I don't. Especially animal faces that can't emote correctly. Lion King.
The issue with Lion King is that you put fucking Beyonce in your movie and they never have her actually like sing. Like you have a Beyonce song in there, but you never have the Beyonce character singing.
No. Again, choices were made that I just Anyway, I think that's gonna be it for this episode.
Episode choices are made.
No, I wanted to call it Army of Dalmatians.
That's pretty good. Army of the Dead.
But once again, give us a follow on YouTube, all the social media things. Want to see us live on Twitch? It's Saturday. Around between 4 to 5 Central Standard Time or Central Daylight Time. I don't know, whatever. To be between
we're on now.
I don't even know which one we're on anymore or what we're switching to. I don't know. Abolish daylight savings. Period. Get rid of that shit.
Please.
It's such a dumb concept. Get rid of it. I don't want to lose an hour of sleep soon.
I don't want the sun to go down at 5 p.m.
Right.
Or like right now, like it's going down like at 9-ish, and it's kind of like cool. Like
I'm asleep before it's fully dark.
It's abolish time zones. No.
Yeah, fuck that. Abolish time zones. Just have a universal time, and time's just different in different places.
And that's it. Like, what time do you get up for work? Midnight? Like, all right, sure. No, everyone's gonna get up around 8, sure. But we'll be back next time. And we'll see what we're talking about. We'll see what happens. It's gonna be a fun time. But thanks everybody. Bye.
Like, subscribe, share, send us money. Don't even do any of those. You just actually like sit and do